What is happening at JGamerDude here, and I made this video called Xbox is a Failure about a month and a half ago, I want to say, and it's got 1,900 views, which is actually a lot for a video on my channel, but effectively it was kind of covering the situation around Xbox at the time, the worries and concerns that people had, and sure enough, since then we have had a lot of announcements through things like the Xbox Showcase during the Summer Game Fest week, or rather the non-E3 E3 week. But then, the only reason I'm even making this video right now is because of a particular comment, and I will bring that comment up, and here we are, which says, he says a couple of weeks before Xbox won the not E3 season, "This video sure as hell aged like milk. Not to mention, a lot of your arguments are parroting the same talking points Sony fanboys have been spewing for some time now." And so this comment got me thinking, hey, why don't we, even though it's only been a little bit of time, let's revisit the idea of how Xbox is still kind of failing, or rather, to be a little bit more precise, Xbox is still failing. Even though they had a really good showing at the showcase, pretty much. And the first thing that I do want to say is that when it comes to games that are shown at the showcase, ideally we do want to get our hands on those games for reviewers and previewers and Xbox fans to play those Xbox exclusives, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's the fans that the company is going to be trying to appease the most. However, let's take a step back and talk about what hasn't really been addressed since my making of the previous video. More specifically, Xbox's hardware future in question, and the fact that, they've cancelled a lot of physical titles. So games like, for example, Hellblade don't get a physical release and things like that. And also the fact that Xbox is actually, or has shut down, supposedly, the physical release division within Xbox itself. The fact that they're actually pushing for more digital, and also the fact that they are actually still very much doubling down on Game Pass, which they did during the Xbox Showcase. And what really hurts me specifically about this one, and I think this won't hurt a lot of people as like the first talking point, but it's the fact that they talk about a big game about, we're focusing on preservation and things like that. However, Sarah Bond was talking about preservation and then immediately proceeded to show off the new digital Xbox Series X. So Series X has always had a disc with it, but now they have a digital version that has a 2TB hard drive and is kind of a special edition console that they'll be selling for a fairly hefty price tag, I think it was. I can't remember the price tag off the top of my head, but that was just one such example of like, here we are talking about preservation and how great it is, and then immediately talking about a digital only console straight after. The optics are just not particularly good in that sense. Now, let's cast our mind back a little bit to when Xbox started publishing their titles on other platforms, specifically their games going to PlayStation and Nintendo. We're specifically talking about Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves. Now, this did bring into question, why is Xbox doing this? Because the point of buying an Xbox is for its exclusives, which, just to point out, I have actually bought all of these games on PlayStation because I could never see myself buying an Xbox to play Hi-Fi Rush. Even though I love Tango Gameworks and I love all of their games, I would not buy an Xbox for Hi-Fi Rush. But when it came to PlayStation, guess what? I bought it. No, I didn't even buy it day one. I pre-ordered that, the digital deluxe edition, to be more precise. I bought Pentiment day one. I bought Sea of Thieves when it was on special. No, Grounded was on special. Sea of Thieves was day one. So that's kind of how I went about it. That being said, these are Xbox exclusives that came to other platforms ultimately. And it kind of then made gamers wonder, hey, we buy, our Xboxes for their exclusives, but if the exclusives are going elsewhere, it's kind of really worrying and concerning to the overall Xbox audience. And if PlayStation was doing the same, well, to be honest, I actually really wouldn't care. But most of the PlayStation faithful would. And that's only because I don't actually play any of the first-party PlayStation games, to be honest, since 2017. So it's a decent chunk of time. But even so, it's just funny to think about that, like, hey, we buy the machine for its exclusives, but those exclusives are going elsewhere, so then why would we continue to buy the machine? That was ultimately what the main argument of that was about. And I actually hadn't opened a tab for this specific next point that I'm going to be making, but we're talking about Hi-Fi Rush. So guess what happens? A bunch of studios under Bethesda, specifically Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and a couple of other studios get shut down, and Microsoft lays off 1,900 staff at the beginning of this year. So in order to make their numbers look good, unfortunately, games like Hi-Fi Rush were not seen as actually a success. So then what does success mean to Xbox, which is the next point? Success feels meaningless to Xbox because Matt Booty did say that Xbox actually is dependent on each studio. But because Microsoft, the entity, or rather Xbox, the entity, is supposed to have been there from the very beginning, sorry, the umbrella that kind of, has them, yeah, I think I might have missaid the last statement there, but the idea is that because Xbox is the umbrella that they fall under, Xbox should be more on the nose when it comes to what does success mean to these studios, what does it mean to Xbox, and how can studios continue to keep moving forward. And even if you are successful, unfortunately, Hi-Fi Rush, which was apparently very successful, still ended up shutting down Tango Gameworks regardless, which is still a very painful thing to talk about. That being said, now they own things like Minecraft, Call of Duty, Overwatch, and Diablo. It's no wonder that I feel like the Activisification of Microsoft, or the Call of Dutyfication of Microsoft, is kind of happening, where they're turning into just a Call of Duty machine, as everything else that they make or create just will not make the same amount of money. And of course, when it comes to investors and the fact that that is kind of a blight on profits, being a blight on gaming as a whole, specifically the whole stock market trading aspect of it, including investors, because Microsoft isn't making more money than the year before and then continually making more money in an infinite period of time, that's just not a viable business model, because you can't make money infinitely. Eventually it is going to go down, and when it does, it's going to hurt you like a sack of bricks, let's put it that way. Moving on from that though, let's talk about how, now remember when I was just talking about how games were just, Xbox exclusives were coming to other platforms? This hasn't actually happened yet, but this is a rumor that has been sprinkling around the season of gaming that we've just been kind of coming across, especially in regards to Microsoft having a really good showing with their Microsoft Game Showcase now, or Xbox Game Showcase. Okay, I'm mixing up Microsoft and Xbox a lot, but that's going to lead into actually another point a little bit later on. But the fact of the matter is that Halo is actually being rumored to potentially be coming out. So Microsoft is reportedly working on a remaster of Halo Combat Evolved, and there are suggestions it may come to PS5 in addition to Xbox, and that largely falls under the idea that making a remaster of Halo Combat Evolved doesn't actually make that much sense. Given that it's already on PC, and Xbox already has it as part of the Halo Master Chief Collection, having another version of Halo on the Xbox series of consoles, Series S and X to be more precise, just doesn't quite make as much sense unless it was coming to more places. However, this is still very much conjecture and rumors. However, it does kind of still feed into the overall uncertainty about how Microsoft has not really been as upfront with their strategy which is what all of this kind of falls under, is that they have not actually been upfront with the Xbox audience, and as a result, the audience of Xbox gamers are kind of worried about what's going on. However, I feel like people have momentarily forgotten due to how good the Xbox Showcase was. I still need to keep saying the Xbox Showcase was really good, and I did make a video called that the Xbox Showcase blew me away, but I do need to keep reminding ourselves, hey, while this has happened, this really good showcase, this is still, some key underlying things that are happening behind everything. That being said, Project Latitude was actually something that has been rumored within the Xbox community sort of thing, that was kind of leaked out a little bit. So what is Project Latitude? The idea is that Microsoft has said to Xbox, look, there is no red line when it comes to games that are exclusive to Xbox that can't go to other platforms. And it feels like, and I really wanted to use this Reddit post because I thought it was a great title of, do you think Project Latitude will lead to the rise or demise of Xbox as a console? I just think that is a very, very good title for a Reddit post. That being said, it's pretty much, like I said, the idea that there is no red line when it comes to what is or isn't allowed to be an Xbox exclusive that can come to other platforms. So the fact that like Halo or Gears was kind of rumored to some extent, Halo more so than Gears, but still the fact of the matter is that these rumors are still around, a buzz, whatever have you. And it's unfortunate to think about because these are all, this idea of Project Latitude is coming down from Microsoft onto Xbox. And just to provide an even better idea, just doing some search here, but we have something called Xbox. I mean, they're doubling down on Game Pass, and that still doesn't feel like it's going to actually bring in more money than it's actually worth keeping around. Shoot, I completely forgot what I was actually going to Google. Yeah, but anyway. So these are a few underlying things that are happening in the Xbox space. And I was going to Google something, and now I totally forgot what that next point is that I was actually going to make. So that means it kind of is clear that I didn't really structure this video that much. But main thing is that these are a bunch of like things that are still happening within the Xbox space, whether it be people losing their jobs, whether it be studios shutting down, whether it be the fact that physical games are just not happening in the Xbox space anymore, and they're moving to a more digital idea, even though they are trying to talk big about the idea around preservation, the fact that their exclusives have gone to other platforms, and the fact that there is something called Project Latitude, where there is no red line coming down from Microsoft to Xbox. And now I remember exactly what I was going to be searching, which is Xbox losing its identity, rather the idea of Xbox founders. So here's the Games Radar article that I was thinking of, about how Xbox founders are mourning the loss of the company's identity, or Xbox's identity within Microsoft, and refers to it as Microsoft Gaming. That was the point I was going to make earlier, but then I kept switching between Xbox and Microsoft in my mind. So there was also the fact that after the purchase of Activision, that Xbox seems to be losing its identity as the money that came from Microsoft in order to purchase Activision, and if Xbox doesn't make the money to then pay back Microsoft, can cause Microsoft to encroach on Xbox as a whole and potentially take full control over it, because it's become too big, rather than it being a small side project that Microsoft just so happened to leave to do its thing. So that is another aspect to everything as a whole. But that is kind of all the points that I was wanting to make. Let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 300 subs by the end of the year. And I'm actually quite curious, what do you think about Xbox's presentation? But also, do you think that Xbox is still kind of failing, as I am? even though they did do a really good presentation. Let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. And I upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.